was complaining that she's not been allowed to do fasting, because I know my daughter, she normally do fasting. Any year that we do fasting, she is also doing the fasting. Even when she was in primary and the GHS, she was doing the fasting, and then the same time attend school. So when she came here and she's not been allowed to take the to do the fasting, then she was worried. So she told me that she's not been given the chance to do fasting one, and even she had the opportunity to meet the head.
He's saying, like, the Muslims are not allowed to fast in this school. I didn't understand, so I wanted to meet the headmistress for her to explain to me, but I didn't get the chance to talk to her. So I was there when they came to call me. She wants to meet me. But at first, I was really worried. I even cried a lot because it's my tradition, and I've been doing it since I was a kid. Almost 8 years I started fasting. So I was very sad when they told me I can't be able to fast this year. I was really sad.
So I myself today and the mother, we came together, and then we sat down with the administrator, and then he subsequently took us to the head. We sat down, and then we started the discussion. So in fact, I said that I want to take her home and then change school for her so that she can get a school where she can do the fasting. But later on, when we finished and the head asked her whether she's ready to go out of this school and go to another school, she said no.
Honorable members of Parliament, Right Honorable Speaker, this is Dr. Samuel Ofori-Omuna. Today is Sunday, May 2nd, 2021. I'm back at the public arena to talk about the issue of the Muslims who are insisting against the established rules of the Methodist school. Of course, it's government financing and support, government assisted, but that doesn't mean we are going to throw away our faith. We are the Christian majority. The Honorable Minister of Education has no right to make that decision without talking to the elders of the church. The Honorable Minister of Education must rescind that decision. We will not tolerate that. We can't go to any Muslim school and tell them about how to handle Christians. They don't even take many of them. The Turkish people have built secondary schools in that mosque area. Is it open to all Ghanaians? And are they going to allow Christians to go there and also be educated in that school? Please, Mr. President, you are setting up this nation for trouble. Please, put your feet down. You are a Christian. You are a Christian. We are the Christian majority. If you allow this decision to pass, I'm telling you, we will organize campaign against MPP. We will organize campaign against MPP and look for any party that is prepared to allow the Christian majority to have our way. It is a Methodist church. They said no room for fasting. It's as simple as that. Because the children need to have the wherewithal, the peace of mind and the strength to study. They can develop ulcers. And the church has made a decision that at that tender age, they don't want them to bring this thing there. We Christians also fast. We have the Lent period, which is 40 days. The Muslims have the Ramadan, it's 30 days. It's not that we also don't fast. We fast. But in our schools, we don't permit that at that tender age. And if Muslims want to come there, they must obey the rules of the church. You are now imposing the minority view and opinion upon us, Mr. Honorable Minister. We will not tolerate this. We will not tolerate this. I'm telling you, we are prepared to campaign against the government of the MPP if this is how far they want to go with the Christian majority. You can't pick up the banner, the battle is the Lord's, and turn around and take decisions that go against Christianity. This is unacceptable, Mr. President. This is not acceptable. We want to call upon the Christian caucus in Parliament to rise up and address this matter. If Muslims want to fast at home, that's fine. If they want to fast at the university, as everybody wants to fast in the university with their religion, that is fine. In secondary schools, this is not permitted. In fact, if they want to fast, they can go to the dining room and not eat. That's all. But the whole idea is to institutionalize the idea into the Christian community. It will not fly, Mr. President. We will fight this thing. We will fight this thing. If you don't change this decision, I can assure you, we are going to campaign against MPP and make sure you are removed from the next elections. Why are you going against the church? Why? Why are you allowing the Minister of Education to give instructions to the church because a minority group of Muslims want to insist and impose their views on the Methodist Church? Why? Why are you allowing the Minister of Education to make that decision? We refuse, we reject that decision. And if you insist and go ahead with it, I can assure you, we will campaign against the NPP.
The decision was not just taken today. It's been a long-standing decision of Wesley Girls not to allow students fast, including Christians. Because they said they had an instance where children who were fasting were collapsing in the school. And so the board, over 10 years ago, took this decision. However, it's become topical today. I think that, again, comes down to leadership. The education ministry, before it issued its directive to the school, should have engaged with the Methodist Church.
Okay.
The lack of consultation with the Methodist Church and that blanket instruction from the education ministry through the GES is what has gotten the Methodist Church to react in this way and say, we are calling your bluff. If everybody had been, because when the Muslim caucus in Parliament met with the Methodist Church, there appeared to have been a certain common ground that was being found. Then the ministry just issues that statement, and that's where the problem is. Look, let's call a spade a spade. We need to cherish the political and religious tolerance that we have in this country. Let's not play with it. I believe that it is an issue that we must all uphold, and I have been consistent on this. If you remember, when the Rastafarian issue happened with Achimota School, on the floor of the House, I contributed to a statement and said, look, allow the students to enjoy their rights, because the reason that the Rastafarians were asking for was not a lifestyle reason, it was a religious reason. You see, people at that time didn't understand it. Today, it's moved to Islam. Tomorrow it will turn to Christianity. Where in an Ahmadiyya school, because you see, in every religion, you've got the fanatics on the extremes. And if we shouldn't allow
that is what we don't want.
That's what we don't want. Yeah. So those of us who are moderates and those of us who are able to accommodate each other must find a way to resolve this impasse very quietly and in the interest of the country.
It is not an allegation. This is a fact. And
it's not an allegation.
It's not an allegation.
You say it's a fact.
It's a fact, yes. Your station carried the story. The extent to which the parent drove to the school. And I guess that the journalist interviewed him and interviewed the student. I think this intolerance must stop. This is a secular state. And we are dealing with a public institution. Of course, the genesis of that institution was not a public. It was a Christian missionary school, which is now a public institution. I had the privileged opportunity to have taught at least 1 year at Ghana Lebanon Islamic Secondary School. And I remember vividly that we used to have Fridays, Islamic preachings. At a point, the head of the institution was, I guess, an Algerian at that time. They wanted to insist that those who were non-Muslims should also participate. And I stood against that, and I challenged that decision that they didn't need to force Christians to participate in that. And they had to listen, because you can't force anybody.
Has that changed since you left?
Yes, it has. In fact, actually, when I insisted, they had to call. And there were other tutors in the school who supported the position I took. So I have a history of fighting against that. Why? In Islam, fasting is one of the most important pillars of Islam. There are categories of people who are supposed to fast, and it's compulsory that if you are not, in fact, those who are exempted from fasting is a woman who is pregnant, and if she fasts, it would affect the baby, because you need to diet well and eat very well. A nursing mother, if you know that fasting can affect the production of milk, a very old person who fasting can affect his or her life, and someone who is terminally ill. And those people under that circumstance, the terminally ill person or old person, would have to find someone to be feeding. This is how important that fasting is. The pregnant woman who is not fasting in that month of Ramadan, after she delivers and finish, breastfeeding the baby, it's compulsory for her to pay that 30 or 29 days. So it is.
Is it zakat or is it?
No, not zakat. Not zakat.
It's different.
If a pregnant woman is pregnant, she's exempted from fasting at the time, because if she fasts, it can affect the unborn baby. But after she delivers and finish breastfeeding the baby, she has to fast. A nursing mother is supposed not to fast, because if she fasts, it can affect the production of milk. Okay, if you have a nursing mother who have the kids on this NAN 1 or NAN, the SMEs, that person can fast because it wouldn't affect the production of milk. Even with that, after the breastfeeding of the baby, she has to pay that. It tells you how.
So anytime Chief Imam hears this, he feels disappointed, he feels worried. When he calls and talks to me, it's like, well, these are the people that they hail praises on me. They show me great respect anytime, but my grandchildren are in their schools, and my grandchildren are not treated well. I mean, he feels, yeah. But meek as he is, the Chief Imam will never tell you, go and shout, go and do that, but that he feels disappointed. And I feel disappointed if truly, I have been a teacher, and I understand the psychological implications of this. Any child you mistreat within the school system, the psychological impact on his being as he grows further. Just like a child who is abused in the house for too long, or a child who is exposed to abuse, he sees his father slapping his mother, kicking his mother with foot. That child will grow to become a violent person when he gets married. The same thing, any child who is mistreated, treated with indignity, disrespect, his rights are abused, that child will grow never to see anything wrong with abuse of human rights.
Right.
And I think that as teachers, even within the mission, within the mission, we are told that compassion is something that we uphold. And I find a contradiction when Muslim children are in Christian schools, and Christians who uphold the virtues of compassion and respect for human dignity will not be able to look at within the frame of their discipline to also respect the diversity in it and say, oh, these are Muslim children, we are happy, we are making contributions.
See how important.
Right.
In fact, it's not only necessary, it's essential as a Muslim. So if you have a child who is up to the age of 16, 17 years,
right,
it is incumbent, it is compulsory in fulfillment of the religious obligation as a Muslim. He or she has to fast. Now, if you deny such a person from fasting, you are virtually denying her from observing the 5 daily prayer. Because in terms of those pillars, they are equally important. So that is why I'm saying there can't be any excuse. Look, that child, if you listen to the parent who was interviewed by your station, the father said that the daughter has been fasting since the year of when she was 8 years. So why would they prevent the girl from? And if you observe the interview, the girl, she was literally crying that she's been denied of practicing this. I think that the headmistress of that institution should be brought to order. This intolerant level must not be accepted. Look, this country has been very peaceful. Most of us attended mission schools. And I remember when I was attending Methodist, we went to read the hymn. We were not forced to go to the church, but we loved and enjoyed going to the church to read the hymn. When I went to teacher training college, we did all those things, even in the secondary school. People must not be denied those opportunities. And in an attempt to justify that unacceptable behavior by the headmistress and the management of the school, they said it is not only Muslims, even Christians we have entreated that they shouldn't. Christians are not, the fasting is not compulsory. You can do it as a religious obligation. But Muslims, it is compulsory that you engage in fasting. So if you deny anybody of fasting, you are denying that person of fulfilling the religious obligation, which is incumbent on him or her as a Muslim.
So very important.
Monique, I'm trying to exorcise Satan from the room, and you are feeling the heat. Or a Muslim will wake up at midnight. You can pray your prayer quietly. Then you decide that you are so spiritual at midnight, you want to recite the Quran aloud to disturb your neighbor. Islam says desist from that. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ spoke so copiously about the right of your neighbor, whether the person is related to you or not, whether the person shares the same faith with you or not. He says he spoke to an extent that it was as though he would have made it a law that if you die, your next door neighbor can inherit your estate. That is how important a neighbor is. So please, the best neighbors we have in this country are our Christian friends. And it is important that we remain true to the dictates of Islam by interacting and coexisting peacefully with them. I end here, and I hope that this little I have said will change the narrative so that the debate that is raging right now will be one of peaceful coexistence and a shared common humanity, rather than trying to drive a wedge between two communities that have lived together for more than for more than a millennium, so to speak. Thank you, and may Allah bless all of us.
Yes, we've been talking to the ministry. As you can see in our statement, what we knew was that we had met the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church with his elders, and they gave us the assurance that, within 2 or 3 days, we'll hear from them. And they gave us a lot of assurance that they were going to work assiduously to resolve this matter. So we're hoping to hear from them when the GES statement came. And to our ultimate shock and surprise, their statement came out. And I thought that it is very unfortunate. I really wish that statement was not issued, because I believe that our effort to engage the Methodist Church was to be able to build some consensus and build dialogue, build bridges, to be able to resolve this amicably. Let us all not forget that, look, our country is a secular country. You can say anything you want to say. That is what our Constitution prescribes. And our coexistence should be paramount to each and every one of us. I hope and pray that the Peace Council, who I'm sorry to say, that failed in its responsibility in the past, will really live up to expectation. The reason I'm saying this is that in 2015, precisely on 4th March, when they held the peace dialogue, we agreed on 10 things to be done. And I'm very certain if Peace Council has followed through with these 10 things that we agreed to do, one, if you may allow me to quickly recap, one was to continue to provide a platform for continuous dialogue with an independent interreligious bodies, so that we'll set it up under the National Peace Council. Ask them what has happened. They also said that GS shall provide policy framework for the creation of an acceptable dress code and the use of religious symbols in schools, taking into consideration the legitimate consent of interested religious groups. What has happened to it? GES shall oversee the formulation of interreligious chaplaincy boards in schools to create the platform for the exercise of freedom of religion and freedom of worship. What has happened to that? 4, the school's computerized selections program must be reviewed to broaden the choices and selection of school. What has happened to that? That all schools or institutions must create an environment where students feel welcome without any fear of discrimination or victimization on religious ground. I mean, you see that what is currently happening in West Hills has to do with the faith thing that we all agreed. All the church leaders were there, the Muslim leaders were there, those of us who were MPs who were invited, a lot of Nananum, I remember that time, Professor K.B. Asante was there, he chaired one of the sessions, and these were some of the things that we agreed. But Peace Council went to sleep. I remember in 2016, I wrote official as an individual who was invited to that program to ask them, where have we gotten to date? I never got a response. Then, I think in 2017, Parliament, the Muslim caucus, also wrote to remind them, where have we gotten to with what we agreed in the peace dialogue? And National Peace Council never responded. I believe that what is happening now, with the greatest of respect, they have to be blamed partly. I know the law that established them did not give them any biting. It gives them the opportunity to use more dialogue, to engage more, so that, try to break bridges. If they were doing that in these past 6-7 years, I don't think we'll be where we are today. Let me tell my Christian brothers, especially those in Methodist, I've heard a lot of statements. Yes, I know on both sides, the Muslim side, the Christian side, especially this Methodist side, you have people that keep spitting hatred and bigotry. Let us all be mindful. Let us all be careful. This is all the country that we have. Let's learn to live together. Let us not be pretending. Let's not be showing each other hatred when I have the power or I have the influence or I dominate an area. And then I come out and say, let's live in a coexistence. That's pretense. Let's leave this bigotry. Let's leave this hatred that we are showing each other. Because you see, I would challenge anybody, that if there's any school that is Muslim dominated, as the TIAMA schools, the Ghana Muslim schools, Ghana Muslim mission schools, or any secondary school that is government assisted, which is controlled by the Muslims, where a single Christian is forced to perform ablution and go into the mosque, I'll be very happy for anybody to show me. Or there's, what do you call it, in Ramadan, they are forced to fast. Please, just show me one, because we've made a lot of effort. We went around, we were telling them, yes, when you squeeze orange, you get orange juice. When you squeeze apple, you get apple juice. You cannot squeeze orange and get banana juice. No matter the hatred that you see being shown elsewhere, please continue to show love. Continue to, and let me also admit, there are a lot of Christian schools, I mean, I stand out for them. In some, I know they've even given places where the Muslims on those campuses or on those compounds were able to build mosques to be able to worship. That is excellent. I know a lot of the Muslim Christian schools that provide special meal for the Muslims during this month of Ramadan. That is what we are calling for. Go to Tia Ahmadiyya Secondary School, all their secondary schools, not one in exception. And I'll tell you, you will see what we are talking about. You see the Muslims in their hijab, you see the Christians not wearing hijab, you see the school assisting with the school bus to convey the Christians to nearby churches on Sundays and Saturdays. This is all we are saying. Teach our children how to live in the general community. Don't teach them this flexing. What Wesley Girls is currently doing, it's very unfortunate. And I want to plead with the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church. Please, you are men of God. Remember, you people have been teaching us the Christ doctrine. One of the Christ doctrine principle, love thy neighbor as thyself. Christ did not say, love thy Christian neighbor as thyself. No. And the Muslims who are spitting hatred, let's do this, let's do that. I want to plead with them. Remember what the Holy Prophet of Islam said, that look, none of you will be a believer. He said, you will never be a believer. You will never be a believer until you wish for yourself what you wish for others, your neighbors. He didn't say your Muslim neighbors. Let's continue to live in peace and harmony. Let us know each time come out with this fight, insulting each other. People say we are majority. Look, you are majority only in some areas. Because when you come to Ababu, where I'm born, the Muslims are in the majority. So in Ababu, so no Christians should be able to live there. No church should be able to be established there. Ask all the churches, SDA churches in Ababu, I visit them regularly. I have Pentecostal church in Ababu, I visit them regularly. There are so many churches. Where I'm born, I can bet you it is 90% Muslims. Yet we live with our neighbors. I mean, where the house that I was born, my father's house, my two neighbors is dominated by Christians, and it's beautiful. When it is Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, we feast with them. When it is Christmas, they feast with us. We grew learning to live with each other. The school I attended, Tamale Secondary School, I don't know today. When we were there, my brother, on Fridays, we'll close early. Lunch is normally at 1:30. On Fridays, lunch is at 2:30 to enable the Muslims to go and have their Friday prayers. On Sunday, breakfast in Tamasco, then, I don't know now, was 8:15. On Sundays, we go for breakfast at 9:30 to enable the Christians to go to church. I mean, by the time you left school, you have gotten to imbibe in you that, oh, others that are different from you. That's how we're taught. In Tamasco, you start with a Muslim prayer, you close with a Christian prayer. In TIMAS, it's the same. Why can't just our brothers in Methodist and any other church appreciate this? Let's not be pretending. We are one people. We are one people, for heaven's sake. We are all Ghanaians. And these schools that we are talking about, it is funded and run with the taxpayers' money, all of us money. If you go and establish a private school, that is purely Methodist. And I come there, you can do whatever you want to do. But look, if we begin doing this, my fear is that, look, we also have people who are spitting hatred and bigotry. My brother, currently, there are about 40 secondary schools in this country, secondary and senior high schools that are Muslim-based. Go and see, 70% of the teachers there are Christians. Now, those who are spitting hatred and bigotry, let's get them out. Let's move all the Christians out. If they come there, they must go to the mosques. Where are we taking our country to? I want to plead with the Methodist Church. We came to meet you in a very quiet environment. We respected each other. We spoke nicely to each other. We gave each other assurances. What has changed? Why this sudden hype tension? The PTA that they are talking. Please, PTA, you don't run the school for government. It's GES that runs the school. Ministry of Education runs the school. If Ministry of Education and for that matter, Ghana Education Service will give a directive and we think that we should flout it, well, we are setting a bad precedent. Because, my brother, do you know what? In terms of religious difficulties, I'm a Muslim. I've lived with a lot of Christian brothers. I believe that we Muslims, we have more rigid and very difficult rules to follow. I mean, Sharia is a very difficult thing to follow. You can't even shake the hands of a female. Male and female should not sit in the same classroom and all. But in the spirit of accommodating each other, go to all our schools and see. All these things are put aside to accommodate, because once you are under government assisted funding, the teachers are paid by government. Most of the infrastructure were built by government. You have to give out something to take in something. That's all we are pleading with our brothers, the Christian community. And I know, like I said earlier, there are many Christian schools that are doing wonderfully well. We want to encourage the few that are finding it difficult to do this. Look, let's not listen to the fanatics among us. The same with the Muslims. I beg you, let's not listen to the hardliners among us. Those hardliners, they will rather plunge our country into chaos.
Right.
And we don't wish that. And I also want to add the Peace Council. Please, Peace Council, be up and doing. Don't just go sleep. When there are issues, you come up, and then after that, you go to sleep. Go back to 2015, while we agree. That thing you know, for those who are still members of the Peace Council, it wasn't something that all of us were happy with, but we all said that we will manage with this. Can we get those things implemented? If those things were implemented very well, I don't think we'll be talking today. So I want to urge, especially the Muslim communities, because they are the affected persons. Please, let's continue to exercise restraint. Whilst we use the Office of the National Chief Imam, the Ministry of Education, the Ghana Education Service, the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church, we beg you, let's talk.
Right.
There's nothing that cannot be resolved by talking.
Okay.
This insult and cross-purpose statement will not help us. Let us see each other as each other's keeper. I mean, what essence does it have if you get education and you say that I shouldn't get education, or I should get the education only your way? I should put all my values away and only imbibe those. Then in my community, I also say that, well, your people that come to my community, they should also put away everything and do it only my way. We will be getting a segregated country. I don't think any of us wish for that. So I want to plead that all of us should allow tempers to cool. Let's keep our heads calm. Let's allow talking to go on, and let's try to build bridges.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is a press conference organized by Zango Research Institute at the Zango Press Conference here in Mamobi, Lima. We're organizing this press conference because of the latest brouhaha concerning the Wegehe saga, Wesley Girls High School saga. Good afternoon, distinguished members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. We are gathered here today to address a canker which, not attended to immediately, can shake the very foundation of our peace and coexistence. The central theme for this conference is rather to call our Muslim youth to restrain and wait on the Zango Research Institute to seek redress at the appropriate forum, that is the Supreme Court of the Republic of Ghana. Members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, the fact of the matter is, some few weeks ago, a bold father withdrew his word from Wesley Girls Senior High School due to the refusal of the school authority to allow her to fast during this our holy month of Ramadan. The backlash was enormous, with various distinguished personalities keeping quiet on the matter, especially human rights crusaders. However, the Bishop Conference has surprised the citizenry by an open support for the Methodist clergy. It is against the background that we think it's prudent to seek Supreme Court interpretation to put to rest whether any institution can have a para rules to the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. The issue is never the ownership of those institutions, but the constitutional behavior of those institutions. We can also observe similar discrimination in the military and paramilitary services, where Muslim ladies are not allowed to wear hijab, parenthesis, mayafi. Also, the nursing professional authorities also violate such rights. Throughout our history as a nation, rights are fought for and never handed over on a silver platter. We will not rest our shoulders on sleeping giants. We will use institutions to fight for our rights, and we pray that doesn't fail. Fellow sympathizers and crusaders of human rights, this is a classical example of the violation of the fundamental human rights of the Ghanaian citizen. We are restraining ourselves so much, and we are choosing our words carefully. The greater goal is to sort the issue once and for all, and Ghana will emerge victorious as the beacon of democracy she is. We will address you as we progress with our legal team for this historical battle to reserve our faith in our institution. Our fellow Muslim brothers and sisters, we use this medium to urge all of you to be patient as we test the efficacy of the Supreme Court of Ghana. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming, ladies and gentlemen. Najimi, magana da dan wana yake so Ghana duka kowa muke so mu aika cikin jarida shine na farko game da abin da ya faru ko yake faruwa cikin institutions cikin schools yana cin na tuwo a kwarya sosai, kuma da muka zauna muka duba yau peace da muke enjoy ba muna so mu take peace for granted. In ka duba kasashe da dama wasu abubuwa ka ya faru, discrimination ba abin da ya kamata kowane gari ke entertaining shi bane. Shi yasa daga nan muke kiran samaru na mun consult sarakan na gargajiya da samaru na kamar kar kowa eduki laws cikin hannun shi. Mun zango research za mu doki mataki tunda muna live cikin Ghana kuma akwai doka, za mu doki mataki mu je ya sunan shi Supreme Court, kuma ba mu sai Supreme Court kawai bisa matters of human rights. Mun invoke the jurisdiction Human Rights Court kuma, because constitution Ghana ya gwada cewa kamar kowa na da incin kanshi yi bauta addini da yake so kun fahimta. Shi sa ba mu so sunan da aka shafa muna mu yan zango muna basa muna kala yanzu lokaci ya kai mu kuma mu tashi mu use the very institutions da ke nan available da so mu seek redress, mu make sure kamar yayan mu yau magana da ke faruwa maybe ka ce ba diyanka wannan school gobe tun da mu duka parents gobe ba ka san da diyanka zai bi fadi ba. Yau muna da karfi, wasu daga can baya su sun fara, yau mu kuma muna da karfi, mu take it to another level. Mu ba mu yi shi da gidi, ba mu yi shi da wani tashi hankali. Daga nan muke kira matasa, muna kira samaru na duka kowa ya take things easy. So wanda kuma ke so zai join mu cikin legal battle, akwai hanya, the door is open. Zango research na kowane so mu je Supreme Court, mu make sure come on laws in Ghana ya deal da su so yayan mu su samu incin kansu cikin wannan institutions. Sa mun gode muku sosai da kuka zo
cikin Ghana matakin da muke yi kawo sarki da fage.
Na gode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Ina isar da gaisuwa da duka musulmai mu kasan Ghana, da shi babban imamu mu national chief imam, da duka saraken mu duka sarkin samari da yufu duka muna muku assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Gaskiya abin damuwa izo muna a cikin lokacin da muke cikin azumi cikin Ramadan fasting amma ya zamani mu kowane lokaci addini mu ya gwada muna peace bai gwada muna tashi hankali ba kuma mu da Christian ba mu da wani kaman misunderstanding muna zaman lafiya da su shi wannan mutum nan da suka yi wannan magana yan church ne ko yan school mu da su babu da wani wanga ba su shirya muna addini ba mu shirya musu addini su amma ayi zaman lafiya maganan nan ya zama maganan bacin rai sosai samaruna kowa hankali shi ya tashi amma sarakai mun zamna mun yi magana da su kama kowa ya samu ankuri wanga magana dadi shi ne muke magana mu ba alkarai shi ne court yasu su shiga cikin magana su deal da magana cikin iko Allah kuma sha Allah ya kawo Zango Research Institute su ma sun ke wani wuri da suke gan kamar no yanzu akwai social media muna gode ma MS TV da duka yanda magana zai je social media cikin jarida duka muna gode musu sun send wanga message aikin da muka dokin ga mun doki aikin gani ba kan mu zai kare ba kan jikoki da tabakuni duka sa muna roko kowane ne kwanta da hankalin shi albarkacin wanga wata ba da mu sai nan da wanga magana ba ne za mu yi yanda ya kamata kuma da sannu domin ba mu da wani abu da mu da Christians in ka duba addini mu ma na ba mu iko in dai akwai soyayya mace ma addini ya baka iko ka aure mace Christian yasa ya faru haka nan in dai Allah ya sa ya tabbata haka nan musulmi duka kowa dai bi ka ya suka shi sa muna zaman lafiya ba wani shaitanci tsakanin mu da Christian muna zaman lafiya sam abinda nake son Ghana kasa mu su amince da wanga magana muna zaman lafiya shi wanda yi wanga magaganu da su yan church nan sun doko wanga magana muna ran kamar maganan ga abin ajiyayye ne kamar kin musulunci kuma ba nawa bane musulunci na Allah ne da annabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam muna koyo musulunci ba mu da fada shi za shi ya doko interest shi mu ma mun gwada mai annan da ya kamata abi shine annan da Zango Research Institute suka tashi kuma mun mara musu baya sa kowa ya ji mu kowa ne ji mu nisa da kusa duka su san kama mun doki annu mun sa cikin da iko Allah da albarkacin sarakai da albarkacin limamai malamai duka za mu dace Allah ya ba mu sa Allah ya ba mu duka hankuri na gode mu
mun gode da sarki Mahmud